And good afternoon, everyone. This is John and Sean from Pure Adrenaline Fantasy Sports. This is episode 2 of We Need to Talk. Once again, joining us this week is Jeremy from NFL Chaos with Jeremy. Jeremy, good morning out on the West Coast. How are you this morning?
Morning. I'm good. I'm up.
Good.
I got a burrito on the way, so I'm feeling pretty good.
There you
Good.
go.
That's good. Sean, how are you?
I'm good, John. How are you?
Something looks different today. What are you doing?
None.
Nothing. Nothing looks different. You're smiling today. You seem
Nothing.
happy. Everything all right?
Yeah, I'm doing all right.
All right, sounds good. Last week or Thursday, we had a great show. Some good response, some good feedback on Twitter. So thank you for everybody who reached out and let us know what they liked, what they didn't like about the new show. But this week, some new topics. So let's bring those up. And we have the Washington football team. We touched on it a little bit last week, but we'll dive into it a little bit more. I know the Denver Broncos are up for sale. We can talk about Jimmy G's future in San Francisco. The Jaguars hired Doug Peterson. The Senior Bowl results, Jeremy, which I know you guys were live streaming yesterday. The Pro Bowl is today, and the Super Bowl is next week. So, guys, where would we like to start?
I guess let's just start at the top, work our way down.
The Washington football team. Let's add that. What were your guys' first initial reaction to the Commanders? I don't like it. It doesn't really matter what the team thinks of my thoughts because I'm not a fan of the team. But I don't like the logo. I know they kept the same colors, but I don't like it. There were some better options. I actually liked there was an option at the beginning for like the Red Wolves or something, and I thought that would have been pretty cool. But Sean, your thoughts?
I think if you're gonna rebrand the team, you gotta go from scratch and rebrand it all. Colors, logo, everything. Keeping the same helmet logo pretty much, and keeping it as Washington, and then just changing it over to Commanders from football team, and keeping the color choices. I just think that it would have been better off if you're gonna rebrand the team as a new team name. You almost got to start from scratch.
Yeah, agreed. Yeah, like pick different colors and yeah, agreed. Jeremy, once again, not a fan of the team, but what were your thoughts of the name change?
It's gonna take some time getting used to. I think if you take any original name, it like that hasn't been thought of already, it's gonna be rough. I'm not a big fan of it. It's surprising that in 2 years that was the best they can come up with.
Right.
If I was gonna do one thing right off the bat to fix it, because I never liked the idea of Washington on its own anyway, because there's a state called Washington.
Mm-hmm.
I would at least start with calling them the DC Commanders.
Right. Okay. Yeah, that would have been good. And yeah, some of the mock-ups I should have downloaded them, showed them. Some of the mock-ups of the jerseys had where it said District of Columbia on the front of the jersey. So that calling them DC would have been perfect.
Yeah, or just calling it a football team even.
Yeah, leaving it the football team would have been fine.
Yeah, just keep it as football team.
So that's funny. So yeah, I don't know. I know players didn't like it. When they gave the list of options, I know some of the players didn't like Commanders and spoke out about it. Sean, what do you think? Do you think would a name stop you from going to a team if you were a free agent?
Nah, the money is what's going to talk. I mean, and the future, what's a team? If someone's going to want to sign there, they want to know that the future is a Super Bowl to win every year, not, all right, we might win in the next 10 years. So I think that'll be the determination of people wanting to sign there, not the name. I mean, it is a laughingstock of Washington football team to now the Washington Commanders, but I just think that no one's going to not want to sign with a team because of a team name. I mean, people grow up and say they're an Eagles fan and they sign with the Dallas Cowboys. They're not going to want to say, I'm not going to sign there because I'm a diehard Eagles fan. So I guess when it comes down to it, your personal beliefs kind of get thrown out the window when you have to be with the team.
Yeah, Jeremy, any thoughts on what Sean just said?
Yeah, I mean, there's been owners with bad press that have done awful things that would you would have thought that would have put a team in jeopardy from being able to recruit free agents more than just the team name. And at the end of the day, the money talked and everything else walked, because all these teams still get people to sign with them, regardless of sometimes, the owner's behavior and that kind of thing.
Yeah, agreed. So yeah, we'll see what comes of that. I mean, I know they have to wait. I forget how long it is now. I think it's 5 years to make any changes to your name or logos. So they're stuck with this for a couple of years. I guess Washington football team was they were given, I don't know why they were allowed to change so quickly, but we'll see if they stick with it or if something else happens. But Jeremy, let me bring the topics back up. Any thoughts on what we should talk about next?
I guess I'll stick with what Sean said. We could just go in order.
Okay. So let's talk about the Denver Broncos sale. I don't know if they have anybody interested in the team, but when Pat Bowlen bought the team in 1984, he paid $78 million for the team, and they're talking about whoever is going to be buying the team will have to pay over $3 billion, I believe the number was. So that's crazy. But in the 38 years under Bowlen, they won 3 Super Bowls, 7 AFC championships, 13 AFC West titles, and 21 winning seasons in the 38 years that the family owned the team. So those are good results. Pat Bowlen passed away in 2019. So your guys' thoughts on any thoughts on the sale, the team being up for sale, and would that cause any concern of, like, Nathaniel Hackett just took the job there? So if new owners come in, is there going to be any, maybe they're going to want to bring in their own people?
I don't know. I think whoever buys the team, I think the first thing they might look into changing would be is maybe John Elway, like maybe buying the team in or something, or like a Shannon Sharp or something. I feel like you might see like maybe an old Broncos player want to buy the team and maybe know what they want to see successfully for the team. But I don't think whoever buys the team is going to change the coach after they just signed him. I think it might wait a year, maybe 2, and then see how it's going. I think if anything, with them selling the team and it becoming a new owner over time, I think that would result in players maybe signing there, maybe keep people from not wanting to sign there, knowing that you're not sure what kind of future the team's going to have until they have an owner and you know what's going to be happening. So I think that would have the biggest impact is on who free agency what players want to go there, and who maybe walks during free agency and doesn't re-sign there.
Yeah, agreed. Jeremy, your thoughts?
Yeah, I mean, you got to figure out who's going to buy the team first. But typically, if you're smart, especially people at that level in the world have gotten there, have some kind of brains. And typically the first thing you do in any situation when you take over in a leadership role is you do what's called inquiry, and you spend time looking and learning and asking questions and looking at what's there already and understanding what you have and what the problems are and what the issues are before you start trying to patch it up and fix it. So I think that Sean is right. I think it's going to be 1, probably 2, but like at least the minimum of a year of watching, getting to know the people that are in place right now and trying to determine what needs to be fixed, if anything needs to be fixed at all, because we don't know what kind of year the Broncos are going to have. If they get better quarterback play next year, they could be a dangerous team.
Yeah, agreed. And I just looked it up again. In August, Forbes magazine valued the team at $3.75 billion. So somebody's probably going to have to come up with $4 billion to buy the Broncos, and I don't know. It'll be interesting to see what they want to do. Jeremy, what year? I know we went through an owner change when Leon Hess passed away and the Johnsons bought the team. Do you remember how much the Jets were sold for?
I don't. They were. I don't remember like the price. To be honest with you, I think I was in a part of my life where I was moving to California. Wherever I was in my life, I didn't even really. I wasn't very like involved or like reading about or like heavily having that be part of my life at the time. It was just all of a sudden the Johnsons were owners and not Hess anymore. So or his family. So I'm not sure what the sales price was, but I will say what's interesting about if they do get $4 billion is I think it gives away information because look, value is not just a made up number. Like there's fundamental economics that go into valuing anything, and it has to do with revenue over time and growth and things like that. So whatever, it's interesting whenever a franchise gets sold in any sport, it's very telling about how much money the owners are making, or you can actually do formulas to figure out like what the revenue looks like, or at least approximately, and that gives away information to the players. The players start saying, "Wait a second."
Yeah, that's true.
Yeah, and I think whoever ends up buying the Broncos, I don't think it'll be one individual. I think you'll probably see like maybe 2 or 3 people kind of combine in on buying it and being this person owns this percentage, and this percentage. I think it won't be just one individual. I think you might see like a group of people that buy into it, knowing that the value of the team is so high.
Yeah, and I just looked it up, and Denver is valued at $3.75 billion, and that is 10th on the list for most valuable NFL franchises. So we won't go through the list, but I assume you guys would know who number 1 is.
Cowboys.
Yeah, Cowboys. $6.5 billion. So that's crazy. Their operating incomes is $280 million. Man,
that's insane.
So it'll be interesting what happens there. Speaking of, it'll be interesting to see what happens. Jimmy Garoppolo's future in San Francisco most likely is over. Sean, you reported that during the season that they kind of already announced that he won't be back next year. And if they trade him or release him, the team will save $25.5 million this year. Sean, your thoughts on Jimmy G and where he might end up?
Yeah, whoever takes him, I think the Niners, they said, only have $1.6 million, I think, in dead cap that would come out of him trading him or releasing him. So if they can't find a trade, then releasing him it'll be an equal thing. It won't really hurt them or affect them much. Honestly, we were just talking about it. I think Denver, I could see them maybe buying in on Jimmy G. They got a great group of receivers out there, kind of like where he has now in San Francisco. You have a young running back just like he had in San Francisco, and you have a defense that is decent enough that can help you throughout a game. I mean, Jimmy G is not going to go out there and throw for 350, 400 yards a game, but you can get out of him probably what you're getting out of your quarterbacks now, maybe a little bit better and consistent, where one game you might have 180 yards passing, and the next game you might have 300, where Jimmy G is going to probably get you that 225 to 275 range, and he's not going to go out there and do stupid decisions and throw the ball over the field and have turnovers a lot. I mean, yeah, he's not the young quarterback he once was, but he's still able to move around the pocket enough that I think he probably still has another 4 to 5 years in him at being a starter. And I think in that time that if he was I think it would be the Broncos or the Saints that would honestly be the 2 best teams that would want to have him, just because of their quarterback situation that both teams have.
Yeah, I'll give my prediction on where I think he ends up. After Jeremy, your thoughts on Jimmy G?
Yeah, I think to be a starter for any length of time, like more than just be a stopgap guy for a team, he's going to have to go to a team like Denver or even Carolina or Pittsburgh. He's going to have to go to a team that doesn't rely on the greatness of the quarterback to be a winning organization. It's going to have to be a team with very good defense, running, great scheme, great coaching, because he's good enough if you put the right players around him to win. But he's not good enough if you're built to really rely heavily on your quarterback. Like, he's not going to carry a team to the Super Bowl, but he's also, we've seen teams make the Super Bowl go pretty far with quarterbacks that are at his level, but they have to have a lot of other strength. They have to have like a superb defense and a very good running game and good coaching. And I think that that's the kind of place where he could stick around and be a starter for a while. So I think those are the kind of teams I see it being possible. Denver, Carolina, Pittsburgh, or I don't really see it as much, but I mean, I guess people have been saying, throwing out Tampa Bay.
Right. There were rumors, and I hope they're just rumors, that the Jets were going to trade for him. That, to me, that doesn't make sense. But you never know what people are thinking, and it could be somebody just trying to get their name out there. But Jimmy G is 33-14 in the regular season, 4-2 in the playoffs, and 0-1. Did lose the Super Bowl to the Chiefs. I kind of agree with Jeremy. The teams I looked at, because San Francisco says they want either a second round pick or a third round pick and a player. I think Pittsburgh could be that team that trades for him. I know his salary is high, but they're not going to rely on him. They have a great running game. They have a great tight end. They have great young wide receivers. They have a great defense. So that could be a perfect landing spot for him.
Yeah, and what's shocking to me is that the Niners would want to get rid of him already, knowing that, I mean, he didn't have a great year this year, but he had a decent year in the time that he was starting. They had a better winning record and everything. And then from the time that Trey Lance started this year, the Niners struggled every game. I mean, that's what is shocking, that the Niners would want to get rid of a quarterback like Jimmy G, who is consistent enough to help the team succeed with what he's handed, and want to give it to Trey Lance, who in the time he started this year struggled with I think he played against the Texans and he played against the Cardinals, and he barely beat the Texans, and the Cardinals just honestly just annihilated him that game. And you could see that he was a rookie quarterback struggling. And with him being in the rookie class that came out this year with Lawrence, Mac Jones, and everything, it's shocking that they would want to jump their future after being almost Super Bowl bound to maybe hopefully string together enough to make the playoffs possibly again.
Yeah, my first question is, Jeremy, are you going to share that with the rest of the class?
If there was a way that I could, I would.
But yeah, Sean, you were mentioning some of the quarterbacks from this year. How do you leave out Davis Mills?
Well, yeah, I mean, I would think Trey Lance was probably almost one of the worst rookie quarterbacks this year that started a game.
Right. So, I mean, it'll be interesting to see.
And it'd be interesting to see what kind of future comes about. Like, I mean, maybe them trading Jimmy G is their way of saying, can we go after maybe an Aaron Rodgers for a season?
Oh, maybe.
Is that their way of saying, hey, can we convince Aaron Rodgers, hey, we got the cap, we can bring you and Adams here. We already got Debo, Mitchell. So can you maybe come here with Kittle and all that and take a Super Bowl team you figure they were almost to the Super Bowl this year, and they were to Super Bowl 3 years ago. So you figure almost 2 and 4 years that they went. So,
and I believe Rodgers is from there. I think he went to California.
Yep, and he was a Niners fan growing up, and he thought the Niners were going to be the ones that drafted him.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Can you imagine the Niners beat you and knock you out of the playoffs 4 times in your career, and you end up going there? Can you imagine to be the first year he goes there, wins the Super Bowl, and it's like, wow.
should have drafted him.
What could have been then is always what will be said.
Yeah. Jeremy, not to interrupt your food there, but any final thoughts on Jimmy G?
Just that, he's a good quarterback, but he's not the ideal dream quarterback, obviously, because so again, he just needs a great situation. So,
yeah,
if he gets lucky, he'll get the great situation. I think he had a great situation in San Francisco overall, but he wasn't able to capitalize on that. But my real feeling is that he's going to end up being a stopgap quarterback. He's going to be like a Fitzpatrick. He's going to be a guy that goes to a place for a year or two, and then they're going to draft someone and get replaced. He might go to another place and start for a year or two. He's like the perfect stopgap quarterback. It's like if you have a really good team, maybe he can get us there while we're looking for a long-term solution.
Yeah, he'll be the guy that plays for a year and plays for 16 teams and jumps around.
So this week, the Jaguars hired Doug Peterson. And when it first happened, I believe that was Thursday night. Came out right after our stream ended.
Yeah.
At first, Sean, I sent you a text message and laughed at it. But then, I mean, he's not bad. 42-37 career record with the Eagles. Made the playoffs 3 of his 5 seasons in Philly and won a Super Bowl there. Now a lot of work to do with the Jaguars, but what do you think of Peterson going and working with the quarterback down there?
I honestly think this hiring, looking more in depth into it, I think it's actually good for the Jaguars, just because what he did with the Eagles, he took the Eagles that were nothing and built them up and built them into a Super Bowl team. So I think with the amount of draft picks that the Jaguars have, and his experience and what he kind of offense he wants with a mobile quarterback with Lawrence, I think that'll actually help them for the fact that he can help them draft players and pieces that can build around Lawrence and build around the run game like he did when he was in Philly. Mm-hmm. He's not going to depend on Lawrence. He's not going to say, I need you to go out and throw for 350, 400 yards a game. He's going to do like the kind of Jimmy G special, 225, 275, don't turn the ball over, and keep us on offensively into the game so the defense can help you out. So I think that's what it'll come down to. I think it's a good hire. I think you're not going to see anything in the first year, maybe 2 years. But I think if they give Peterson the 3 to 5 years, I think he could honestly take the Jaguars into a division win and into the playoffs even a few times as a wild card team. So I think it's not going to be an overnight exchange and we're successful. I think it's going to be the 3 to 5 years we'll be successful and on the right road.
Yeah, agreed. Jeremy, your thoughts on Peterson going to Jacksonville? Oh, you're muted.
I was going to say it can only be a giant step up after Urban Meyers. Yeah, that was a disaster last year. So right away, you establish, because if you take a chance on someone who's never done the job, you never know. They could be another disaster. I think what they did was they got stability. They took a guy who showed he's an NFL coach. Whether he's the right one or not, you never really know in every situation. But he's a guy who brought a team to the Super Bowl, okay, and won one. That right away shows a certain level of competency, obviously. You don't just do that by accident. So it's a good hire in that after having a guy like Urban Meyers, they go the complete opposite direction and say, let's take someone that we know is stable and knows how to coach an NFL football team. Mm-hmm. And I think it's really, really the biggest winner of all this is Trevor Lawrence, because that was a fiasco situation that he walked into. And now maybe he has a guy that can just calm things down and give him an opportunity to, be on a real NFL team that's ran and led, with a real leader. So I think it's a good thing for Jacksonville. It was a smart move to not roll the dice and to just go for something very safe, and proven.
Yeah, agreed. So it'll be interesting to see how they build a team. I know they have the first pick in the draft. Is that right? Yeah, so it'll be interesting to see what they do if they build that offensive line, because they did not do that last year. So go ahead, Sean. Oh, it looked like you were going to say something. So
I certainly hope they grab Evan Neal. That would be. I'd be very happy for them, and I'd be very happy for my team.
Right, exactly. So, so it'll be interesting to see which direction they go there. I haven't looked to see who he's brought along to be part of his coaching staff. Payo Time chimes in. Hey, everyone. Sorry I couldn't join today. Hope you're all having a beyond belief day. Payo Time, thanks a lot. Miss you, bud. Understand. I know you're busy. You got He's got a lot of content coming out. He's posting every single day. I believe yesterday he had a couple Bengal fans on his live stream, so that was fun to watch. So he's got the Super Bowl next week. He'll be live streaming that as well. So hopefully we can get him on to discuss the Super Bowl either Thursday or Sunday of next week. But yesterday we had the Senior Bowl. Jeremy, you and Green Bean were live streaming that over on Jet Nation's YouTube channel. I was interested in it pretty much for the first time, like really taking a look at some players, just because the Jets were the coaching staff of the national team. And but what were your thoughts heading in, and who impressed you the most?
My thoughts, same thing. Very excited. This is the first time I've even cared to watch the Senior Bowl. It's usually something I just hear about. Scored 2 touchdowns in the Senior Bowl. It's
Right.
like one of those things that when you're going into the draft, you hear about. And this year, I actually watched it with enthusiasm, and I think that stood out to me the most was this Boye Mafe, defensive lineman. To me, he was the best player in the game. And I'm wondering how much his stock is going to go up in the draft because of it, because of the position. When it's a defensive edge, that's the kind of position where you could really make an impact and move up if you show some promise there. Because obviously every team wants more pressure, a guy who can cause pressure. And it's not like he's going to jump into the first round or second round even. If he goes from a 5th, 4th round, nobody, a guy, was projected around the 4th round, he could easily jump into the 3rd round. There could be a team that says, I'm going to take a shot at this, because if we can hit on this in the 3rd round and get ourselves an edge, oh, yeah,
Yeah, Sean, first off, did you watch it? And do you usually care about the Senior Bowl?
No, I didn't watch the Senior Bowl this year. I normally do watch it. But I was occupied yesterday. But I'll be interested to see is like kind of what Jeremy said on what some players that did play in it, if it helped their draft prospect going up, and for some players that it hurt them playing in it, did it make them have are we going to draft this guy high, or are we going to draft him lower and take the risk on him? And then with the combine coming up, I think it'll help a lot of players that played in the Senior Bowl be able to show themselves in a combine, even if they didn't have a good game, and it'll help them there as well.
Yeah, agreed. I was because the Jets were the coaching staff, and they put Ron Middleton, our tight ends coach. They made him the actual head coach for the team. I was actually very interested in the tight ends because the Jets desperately need a good tight end. But Jake Ferguson had a great game, 3 catches, 62 yards, and a touchdown. Trey McBride, who's slowly rising up draft boards and now could possibly be a 1st-round pick, 2 catches, 12 yards, and a touchdown. So the Jets coaching staff was definitely getting the tight ends involved. So hopefully they're able to add one here in the draft. Jeremy, your thoughts on the tight end position?
Yeah, look, there was a few of them that looked good, and for the other team, they had Willis in the beginning of the game. The first part of the game, he was scrambling all the time, so you didn't get to see a lot of targets for the American team. But then we started to see, I think it's Cole Turner is his name. He started to make some impressive catches too, and then obviously Ferguson was very standoutish. Like he popped on those 3 receptions, and McBride, it was kind of an easy route for McBride, the touchdown, but I think it shows what you can do with them when you have someone with that kind of size and speed. It looked very easy, but yeah, that's because he was able to burn his guy. He's a huge target. So but I think he did enough just to keep his stock where it is. I think people were already very high on McBride, and I think he played just enough and did just enough to show and justify that hype. And I think Ferguson may have moved up. I think he actually advanced his stock. He's gonna, he may have gained a half a round, 15 picks in the draft or something from that. Because I think it's definitely going to be eye catching. to some GMs.
Yeah, out of the 4 tight ends I was looking at yesterday, he was the one I didn't know much about. So it was really good to see him. Yeah, he had a big 25-yard catch and the touchdown. So averaged almost 21 yards a reception. So I'll have to look into those guys a little bit more. Sean, any final thoughts on the Senior Bowl or players you might be looking at?
No, I'll watch more when it comes to the combine and seeing some of the players' pro days at their college that they have attended, and see what kind of players come out of it, and see who it helps and hurts their draft board.
Yeah, I'm going to start diving into some more draft stuff as well. So it'll be interesting to see. I believe the combine is in prime time this year.
I believe so.
Yeah, so because the NFL Network, I believe they showed a commercial for it yesterday, and it said something about first time in prime time. So maybe not every position, but maybe just the the big positions will be in prime time, like the quarterbacks.
I think they said they were going to try to make it so it was more televised, so people could watch it, and instead of having it taped, and then people already know kind of what happened at certain positions. Like, we already know what happened. So I don't need to watch it, sort of thing. I think it more or less helps them have people watching it live and being able to actually talk about it as it's happening. Yeah.
And then today we have the Pro Bowl, another game I usually don't watch. But Sean, your thoughts on the Pro Bowl before we dive into your idea you had that you texted me?
I mean, the Pro Bowl, is kind of that irrelevant exhibition all-star kind of game for the NFL. I think the NFL has some tweaking to do with it, just because players kind of don't really care anymore. The season's over for them, so why should they go out and give an effort for it? I actually had talked to you about it. I think I texted you about it Tuesday or Wednesday, and I said, what would your thoughts be on if they moved the Pro Bowl to the middle of the year and gave everybody a bye week? Would it make it more caring of a game for the Pro Bowl? And I think that would help them a lot, because then players, I think it could do is like kind of like MLB does. Whoever wins gets the home advantage in the championship, which would be the Super Bowl. So they would be the home team and the other team could be the away team. So I think it would make it that players would care a little bit more. And also for the fact that the people that are in the Super Bowl, say they get voted in, it kind of is like, all right, well, at least then they can still attend the game and be able to play in it as well. Not that I think it was 2 or 3 years ago. I think it was when the Chiefs and the Niners played. I think there was like 15 players combined that were in the Pro Bowl that were voted in, and they didn't get to play because they were in the Super Bowl. So it's kind of like, well, now we got to find all these reserves, that kind of make it different. So I think the Pro Bowl should be moved to like a mid season, like say week 10 or week 9. Like, here's everyone's one bye week, and maybe give everyone else an extra bye week or something, and extend the season on a week.
Right. Yeah, that's something they should look into. I know there's going to be things where, well, guys don't want to go to the game because they can risk injury. But Jeremy, any thoughts on the Pro Bowl and maybe, like Sean said, moving it to the middle of the season? Muted, bud.
Sorry, it's like that balance of not wanting you to have to hear me chew versus. I think, because of the nature of the game, that playing a game, like to announce Pro Bowlers or all pros is fine. I think the issue is that it's just such a high risk sport, and nobody wants to lose a player due to injury because of a game like that. That doesn't mean anything. Every game somebody goes down, right? So if you if you're in the middle of the season, it's almost like I wouldn't want the Jets. Like, I wouldn't want my players on my team playing in that game. I'm just afraid, because if they go down, I'm so mad, right? Like, it's such a high risk game, and it just doesn't work. And it also is not entertaining, because football is so much more than just the quality of each player. It's such a team sport that, they spend an entire offseason working on a scheme and a strategy. And you watch players evolve. You watch how teams could go from games 1 to 3 and be totally different teams by the end of the season. So it's so hard to even watch because it's just guys playing football. Like it's not, it's not like an organized team that's chilled, that's fun to watch. And that's what ruins it for me is it's just not. I have more fun watching the events leading up to it. Like watching them play dodgeball yesterday was more fun than the game. Like it was really fun to watch them play dodgeball.
Now my thing is with like the Pro Bowl, kind of like the NBA does. They set like a target and all that for like a score to win the game. Maybe with the NFL, could they do like kind of like exhibition rules, kind of like instead of 1st and 10, it's like a 1st and 25 or something, like make it like no punting only or something, like you don't punt wherever if you turn the ball over on downs, that's where it is, sort of thing. Like maybe do something like that even to make it kind of like not bring the fans to wanting to watch the game, but like not make it as big of a snooze fest, like they're just going to do 30, 40-yard bombs down the field, and the cornerback's not going to care once he's blown. It's just like, well, let him score.
Yeah, and like Jeremy said, I like the stuff leading up to it, and that's like for me with the MLB All-Star Game. I like the home run derby. I like the celebrity softball game that they have. I'm more interested in all the other stuff than the actual game. So it'll be interesting how they. I mean, I know a couple of years ago they talked about not doing it at all. So
yeah, I also think it also hurts it a little bit. I think statistics should be what gets you into a Pro Bowl. I don't think fan voting, for the fact that you got people in it, kind of like the NBA. I think 2 people made the NBA All-Star game this year that didn't even play a third of the season so far, and it's like because of fan voting, they voted them in. But it's like I think that if you make it by statistics, like whoever like the top, say 3 passing players on each side of the like AFC, NFC, all right, you're the Pro Bowlers, and the 4th is the reserve, and running backs, and then receivers, and so on. Like, make it also like, I mean, I think they give an incentive out if you win the game to what if you lose the game, but could they make it that it's more worthy for you to want to win the game and actually give effort than wanting to lose? Like, you got to make it so that it's not just, a 95 to 93 score at the end of a game. Like, it was just haymakers all game long. Make it that it's, a typical football game. Like, it's 28-21 or something. Last team here, can they tie it up or something? It's have it that make the players want to show effort into being an all-star in their version of the all-star game as a Pro Bowl, and make it that the fans want to turn on and watch it and also attend the game as well.
Right. Yeah, agreed. So let's look here. We got the Super Bowl coming up as well. Payo Time here says, question, what do you guys think of Kevin O'Connell as the Vikings head coach? He's the Rams offensive coordinator at the moment. Sean, I know you were hyped when the rumors were starting to look like Jim Harbaugh was going to get the job. So what do you think about Kevin O'Connell?
I like this just as much for the fact that he's taken the Rams offense and you can see what kind of offense they run. I mean, I think that'll help the Vikings because of how their offense is. I wouldn't say it's similar to the Rams, but it's pretty close to how they run their offense. So I think he'll fit in there well. It'd be interesting to see, though, is when they bring him in, does he make changes to the staff, like a defensive coordinator or something? Does he bring someone else in, or does he kind of leave it all the same and see how it works out? We'll ride free agency. We'll get the draft picks in and then go from there. So I like it, though. I also want to see, though, what kind of outcome it comes with free agency. I know with a lot of Rams players, there is a lot of free agency players on that team. Do some of them follow them from offense maybe to the Vikings to want to play under him again? As well as a lot of Vikings players being free agency, do they leave because they don't want to be a coach under him? So I think that has a lot to do when people come in as a new coach. Do players want to play under that person, or and players that played under him, do they want to come there instead and maybe even replace other people? So I think that's kind of my aspect. What kind of outcome is it going to bring for the players, and what kind of team are we going to have?
Yeah, it'll be interesting to see. We are a week away from the Super Bowl. Anything you guys are looking forward to? We're all excited that it's the Super Bowl. Unfortunately, it's not our teams. But yeah, I'm just looking for a good game. I haven't broken down much into the game yet. We'll do that Thursday and Sunday of next week. But yeah, just on the surface, let me know your guys' thoughts on the Super Bowl and if you're looking forward to the halftime show.
I'm looking forward to the halftime show.
All right. Well, I'm not into that style of music, so I mean, I know who the people are.
That's probably my favorite halftime show they ever came out with.
Right.
But no, I'm looking forward to the game. The only thing I'm not looking forward to is kind of like what Roger Goodell said about the home field advantage being in the Rams' favor. That's the only thing I'm not looking forward to is, again, back-to-back years, you have the Super Bowl hosted by the team that is in that stadium as a regular. Obviously, it would have been crazy if it was an LA versus LA Super Bowl in LA. That would be like the ultimate, like, mind-blowing kind of game, because it's like, can you imagine the LA Rams playing the LA Chargers in both the stadium they play in all year? Like,
right.
It would be all Rams fans because there's no Chargers fans ever in the game. So,
Right.
But I think it'll be a good game. Honestly, I think they set the over-under at like 49 points for the game or something already. And I think this game you could see 70, even 80 points possibly coming out of it combined. I think it's going to be a high-scoring game. I think both offenses are built to throw a lot of like 40, 50-yard passes down the field and expose defenses. And even in the playoff runs, all their games throughout the playoffs, they had to put up a lot of points to advance and keep advancing. So I think that'll be what happens in the Super Bowl as well. I don't think you're going to see like a couple years ago with the Rams playing against the Patriots, and I think it was like, what, a 16-3 or something outcome or something it was. It was a snooze fest in a third quarter. So I think it'll be a good game. I think it'll be back-to-back years that the home team hosts or wins the Super Bowl in their home stadium.
Yeah. Jeremy, your thoughts on the Super Bowl and or the halftime show?
I'm excited about that. I have two different kinds of candy to eat. So, Peo taught me all about the Reese's peanut butter cups.
Right.
Every time Cup does something, I eat a peanut butter cup. But on the other side of the coin, I have Kit Kats, because when Cincinnati scores, I'm gonna eat some of a Kit Kat and yell, "Kitty says meow." So it's gonna definitely be a sweet candy-filled Super Bowl. I always look forward to the commercials, and I always look forward to the fourth quarter and hope that it comes down to be a great game. To me, the Super Bowl seems so, unless it's your team, the first three quarters, it's just a party, right? It's always my memories are always just partying with people, and not we rate the Super Bowl, we're having a good time, and we don't really care that much. And then it becomes a real game. Like in those final 10 minutes, that's when it's just like that's when the intensity pulls you in. And when it's a close game, everybody's watching, and then it just becomes like your last blast of football for the year, and then you have to wait all that time. So you get, that's why I always hope it's a close game, and I hope that both teams are in it, because that's your last opportunity to feel that rush of watching people just get everything they have and just have some kind of crazy ending. And that's it. And then we're just left. We have the offseason.
Mm-hmm.
So, so that I just hope, I'm just going to have a good time, enjoy, and hope that it ends up being interesting in the fourth quarter, so we can have that one last. And it's been such a great playoff postseason that it would be a real shame if it just ended with like no drama at all,
Yeah, and you brought up commercials. I completely forgot about commercials. I mean, sometimes those are the best parts, but then some of the, I don't know, like some companies try too hard, and I don't know.
But no, I mean, kind of like Jeremy said, I think it's like, all right, well, it's our last game of the year. Like, we're all excited, but then it's like at the same time, it's also we're all very excited because of the offseason this year is going to be probably one of the best off seasons with so many players retiring and the cap space issue. I think it's going to be a lot of difference in teams for the next season. So I think this year in the offseason is going to probably be one of the best off seasons because you're going to probably see, I think, a lot of trades happening, a lot of people getting released, people walking away and retiring and ending their careers. How do teams fill those voids, sort of thing. So I think it's going to be, we're going to be sad to see the Super Bowl end on Sunday and the season end, but I think we're also going to be happy on come Monday when the offseason gets ready to begin in a month, that here's what we get to look forward to.
I just had a check. Coming into the offseason right now, there are 11 teams that are over the salary cap. Some of the teams it'll be easier for them to do. Like the Cardinals are 813,000, so they'll be able to do that. But then the bottom three teams are the Cowboys, Packers, and Saints. The Cowboys are $21.6 million over the cap. The Packers right now are $50.8 million over the cap, and the Saints are $75.9 million over the cap. So, like Sean, you're saying, there's going to be some player movement. Going to be a lot of roster cuts. So it'll be interesting to see. The Vikings, I'll add them to the list. They're $15.6 million over the cap at the moment. So, Sean, what are your Vikings going to have to do to rebuild that team?
Have a dumpster fire. we got to get rid of all the bad habits Zimmer kept on the team. All the injury-prone players that he always wanted to keep around. It's time to move on from players that have been around for a while. I know Anthony Barr probably played his last game as a Viking, so it'd be interesting to see on what happens there. Even I think like a Harrison Smith, I think it's time to like kind of maybe move on from him and start the rebuilding process, getting some youth and hitting the free agency market and signing players that can help the team succeed faster and make it better to compete with the offense that we already have. I mean, if Kirk Cousins can get traded, that'd be even better because that's a lot of cap space right there. I think that's 55,000, right? 55 million right there that we could free up a lot. So definitely a lot of movement that's going to happen.
I don't know how much he's got left on his how many years he's got left. I know if they trade him this year, they save $35 million this year.
He's got, I think, one more season left.
So, I looked at Anthony Barr. They probably won't cut him because they won't save any money, and they'd owe him $10 million against the cap. So they might as well just pay him the $10 million and keep him.
Yeah, but I think he has an opt-out clause.
So. It'll be interesting to see what they do there. I know the rest. I just looked it up. Oh, maybe it is over because it said something about it can be voided. So maybe he can be voided. So the offseason coming up. Jeremy, what are you looking forward to most in the offseason? Mute.
Yep. A lot of teams have this issue where they or fans assume that when a team is well over the cap, that they're going to drop a star. Oh, they're going to have to drop this star. That's not always how it works. So what makes this interesting is because that's not as exciting to me. Like, because if you drop stars, I'm not into that. Like, I don't want the Jets to now think that the way their rebuild is going to go, for example, by signing a big star.
Right.
Like bringing in a big $20 million player, that to me, that doesn't work when you're like a 4-13 team. Like it's just stupid. It works when you're a team that's just on the verge of winning a championship. It's like the Rams bringing in OBJ and bringing in Von Miller. It's like the icing on the cake when you bring in a big name. So, but what's interesting is that's not what every team does. So there might be a lot of great opportunity for teams like Minnesota. Minnesota's having cap space, so I'll leave them out of it. But like for the Jets, for example, who have cap space, it's not so much the stars. It's a lot of teams try to fit under. A lot of teams have to make decisions about middle of the road, like really good starters, but that aren't superstars. Because not everybody just drops their 3 stars. A lot of people try to hold on to the core of their team, right? The core of what made them really good. And the guys that they get rid of and dump are just solid players. And it gives opportunity for teams that are rebuilding to pick up some nice pieces at reasonable prices. So that's what I'm excited about, is just get us a solid safety for $7 to $8 million a year. Like, get us, like certain positions that we could fill in. Maybe we get a tight end for $6 to $8 million that can play better than Griffin, So I see that as opportunity. I'm also blown away about the Saints situation, because what makes the Saints situation so scary and awful for them is that they're that far over the cap and they're not even paying a quarterback.
Right.
So that's without a quarterback.
Right.
Well, technically they have a quarterback. It's Taysom Hill, who plays running back, tight end, punt returner, kick returner, special teams.
If I'm 55,
he's soon going to probably kick the ball for him too, because they can't have kicker. He's going to play every position he can. Like, we don't have this guy out there. Taysom Hill's going to go out and play that position for us. Yeah, they're paying him so much money. I think it was like a $60 million contract or something they signed him to for like 3 years, and it's like mind blowing when they just came. I think they were so like confused because Drew Brees walked away. They were like, "We're gonna throw this money at him, and he's gonna be the future." And he didn't even help the team this year.
No, they're paying him a little over $12 million a year for the next 4 seasons.
Yeah, it's mind blowing that you signed him to such a long-term deal, and he didn't even have any stats to back up the money they offered him.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, it's absolutely crazy. And so to me, that's like the worst shape I've ever heard, because it's like they have no way to bring in a proven quarterback. They're going to have to draft someone or do something. I just can't imagine being that far over the cap and you're not even paying a quarterback 30 to 40 million. Like how does that happen? They're going to get poached so bad. Like every team is like with cap space is just salivating and waiting for New Orleans to start dumping players. It's going to be crazy. And there's going to be a lot of poaching of players. And I would just think that teams like the Jets that are in good cap space are pretty excited about it.
And sometimes, depending on the contract, sometimes the team trading the player away has to give up a draft pick for that team to take on salary. So it'll be interesting to see if that happens as well.
Yeah, I honestly, I think draft night this year, opening night of the draft night, I think it's going to be like interesting to watch for the fact of how many players get moved, draft picks going this way, because teams aren't going to be able to afford the draft picks that they're going to get. So they're going to have to, might as well just trade the pick away and get maybe next year when they're going to have better cap space.
Yeah. So it'll be interesting to see a lot of things happening once the Super Bowl ends. We're only about a month away from free agency. So that'll clear some draft things up as well to see what direction the teams will be going in the draft. But guys, are there any topics that we haven't covered in our first 2 shows that you guys would like to see talked about?
No, I mean, I think after next week when the Super Bowl ends, I think that's when all the work that we've been putting in, John, will come into effect, and what we'll be able to start helping towards people's free agency as a fan, and even as a foe for people in their division. I'm like, this is a lot of people that are going to be free agencies in my division. Let's see what these teams look like. And then for people's fantasy sake, starting next year, when probably like April, May, and June come around, for people to like, all right, well, my drafts are coming up. Here's what I'm going to want to draft.
Mm-hmm. Jeremy, how about you? Anything we're not talking about that you think should be brought up?
I just want to jump back into fantasy for that means something this year.
Right.
So I know you guys are in leagues. So just keep me posted if you need a player, if you need someone in your league, if your league loses someone, let me know. Otherwise, let's start one.
Agreed. That's on the list of starting a new, just a redraft league where we get to pick new players every year. I figure guys on the show, and once we start getting a good following here, maybe some of the the guys that are viewing the show. Like, I mean, Peo is usually on the show, but I hope he'll join and stuff like that. But yeah, so lots of things coming up in the off season. Sean, I'll text you right after the stream to start talking about Thursday. Sunday we'll definitely take a deeper dive into the Super Bowl because it'll be later that night. But so that, guys, thanks for joining me again for episode 2. Jeremy, you want to give your channel information out before we head out?
All right, it's just NFL Chaos with Jeremy, and I've said it before. Wednesday, wacky shows on Wednesday. John, you've been a co-host on it. I'm pretty much popping in every Friday and doing draft nights and things like that on Friday. I'm a little unusual and weird. I bring on my viewers to be on as co-host too. So anybody who is ever interested in trying this and being on YouTube, join my channel, subscribe to my channel, participate in the chat, show an interest, and I'll be happy to have you on to run your own draft. And just subscribe. All the information comes once you subscribe and hit the notification bell.
Yeah, and for guys, go ahead.
Yeah, I was going to say, and you should do that for this channel too. The notification bell is very, very important. Too.
Yeah. So, but Jeremy, you saying you brought people on. You had J. Cole on, which he was a high school football player. You showed his game tape highlights, and he did a mock draft. He did a great job at doing the mock draft. So that was cool seeing one of the people that follow your channel come on and have knowledge about the game, and not just from a fan aspect. He played high school football, so he knew what was going on. So guys, definitely check out NFL Chaos with Jeremy. And like Jeremy said, hit that like and subscribe button here as well. That notification bell is very important, so you know when we go live or when we post any new content. We'll definitely be back Thursday at 7 p.m. Eastern time with next week's episode. So guys, we'll see you all next week, and thanks again.
See you Thursday.
Take care, everyone.